Nigeria's opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, says the country is grinding to a halt under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. The PDP National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, in a statement on Monday, said the Tinubu administration has created an atmosphere and feeling of absence of governance in the country. The opposition party also said the current life expectancy in the country under the government produced by the APC has reduced drastically. Well, for a conversation on the PDP statement, we're now being joined by APC's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka. Good to have you join us on Arise News this afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Barely 100 days in office, of course, there would be strong criticisms coming, and especially with the situation in the country. I want to get your reaction to another statement. This was made by Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, who lamented being shocked and scared, his own words, about the government's inability to plan and respond to the fuel subsidy removal, further impoverishing the lives of Nigerians, causing hardship and suffering for many. He also called the government's palliative concept as fraudulent. Could you give your response, and also, in your opinion, who should be bearing the brunt of the responsibility for such a rollout and the situation in the country as it is?
Well, the comments by the Edo State governor, really a governor who has really consistently maintained a lackluster record of governance in a single state, speaking so boldly and audaciously about a major economic policy that this, government of the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has introduced. That's just unfortunate. I mean, I think that Governor Obaseki has enough crisis on his hands to occupy him for another 2 terms, assuming he were to manage to get even 2 terms of his administration in Edo State. He's done nothing for the people of Edo State, and even now, I'm sure all of Nigerians witnessed the drama that took place between himself and his deputy governor. He can't even manage his own cabinet with his deputy governor. So I think, look, we're discussing serious issues here regarding the removal of fuel subsidy. And this president, took a bold step, which many governments before him, many presidents before him, could not even contemplate. He did it, and he's done it for the good of our country. Now, I won't go into the details of the economic significance of that policy, but the fact of the matter is that this president has taken that step. Nigerians are adjusting. Yes, of course, it is difficult for our people. It is tough for people who are accustomed to, a price regime to wake up and all of a sudden have to pay, so much more for this product. But the fact of the matter is that this system had become absolutely unsustainable. Many governments before now, in fact, quite frankly, all of the candidates for the office of president in the last election all campaigned with a commitment to removing the subsidy. So when the opposition parties begin to mouth about this removal, that's just beyond the pale, because their candidates also made pledges to remove subsidy, because universally it is agreed that this system has done more damage to our economy than good. And so there will never be a good time to take out the subsidies, but it's been done. And I think that Nigerians, should just hold their breath. The benefits of the removal of subsidy, far outweighs the negatives. But of course, the transient pain of this policy is evident on everyone, including, even the, wealthy people. But I think that in a very short period of time from now, we will all testify to the fact that this is the smart thing to do for a country as Nigeria.
Now, Mr. Morka, you accused Governor Obaseki of lackluster performance, suggesting that his words should not be taken seriously. But I know that in this present cabinet constituted by this administration, we have some past governors who were not particularly productive. Their states are in bad condition, and the truth is out there, no matter how much we try to twist reality. Some have corruption allegations on their neck, insecurity worsened while some of them were in power, and so many others. So what magic exactly can we expect from this cabinet?
Nobody expects magic when it comes to governance. Magic acts should be left to magicians. No president anywhere in the world has that art to enact magic. Magic is not something that is real. It's it exists in the realm of imagination. But the fact of the matter is that we have a new government at the national level of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has just been in office for barely just a few months. I think it is very early to begin to deliver scorecards and make the kind of pronouncements that the opposition is making. That's not done. Even if this government had not embarked on far-reaching policy reform, as it's doing, the government should still be afforded time to put its cabinet together. We just had the cabinet inaugurated in the last 24 hours. So this government is just beginning now to take form, and it should be allowed that time of day to actually situate itself and begin to not just roll out policies but also to modulate policy and to ensure that the benefits of these policies begin to materialize. But of course, those who will criticize the government will do so. But unlike Obaseki has been in office for, I think he's coming to the end of his, 2 terms as governor. So this is not, comparable to the president who is just taking office, barely, just over a couple of months. But look, that's not the point here. The point is that Nigerians are entitled to see the fullness of effort by their president. That is what Nigerians will get. The cabinet has just been put in place. I think that we should just, stand back and allow the government to actually weave some of these, very, very far-reaching ideas together and produce, some outcome for our people.
And speaking of the cabinet, as it was being formulated and the ministers were being screened, there was a lot of discussion back and forth. I will center particularly around the inclusion of women in this present administration, the 35% according to the Constitution. Well, seeing as the president did try, there are quite a few women that have been put into the ministerial list. There have been growing criticisms about people with disabilities. They are not represented at all in this current administration. They have been quite vocal about their needs, their need to be seen, and their need to have places in order to address their peculiar situations. Are there any plans to include them as the days go forward and more positions are filled? And what do you have to say about the lack of representation thus far of people with disabilities in the APC?
Well, thank you very much. That's a very important subject. If you recall, during the primaries of our party made very exceptional accommodation for persons living with disabilities. Our expression of interest forms, our nomination forms were offered, almost for nothing to members, of that constituency. So we take them very seriously. Our national special leader or person with disability is, out there working hard. I'm certain that the president, will, launch or unfold plans for members of this constituency. I do not believe that they will be excluded under this administration. I believe that, as a matter of fact, that effort will be made to accommodate them and to ensure that their interests, their strategic interests, is taken care of by this administration.
Now, back to the statement from the PDP that Nigeria is gradually grinding to a halt under the APC. Just this week, we got a revelation from this administration that President Tinubu inherited a bad economy with an unacceptably high rate of unemployment. But wasn't it inherited from an APC government led by Muhammadu Buhari? Is the PDP really premature criticizing this government?
Yes, the PDP is insanely premature in its rants. But that's all it is. Rants, a cacophony of sound with no suggestion of melody. That's all they do, quite frankly. Now, if the PDP were the party that it claims to be, they had nearly 2 decades to get it right. They did not get it right. And they didn't get it right because they lack even the basic understanding of governance. And not just the understanding of governance, they're actually very invidious in their thoughts and their actions while they were in office in this country. But that belongs to the inglorious past. So, fact of the matter is that it is easy for the PDP, after its humongous failure as a party in government, to begin now to, throw mud at the APC government. Now, it is true that this president succeeded the APC president, Muhammadu Buhari, who governed for 8 years. Yes, so the people who may suggest, yes, this president coming from the same, political party should, that no line should be drawn between now and then. But that is not the way it works. 8 years, a lot of the policies that were instituted by the former president are beginning now to materialize. Look, anyone who understands government, it takes time. This president has introduced some very bold measures that will also take just a little bit of time for it to work. But make no mistake, when you look at some of the outcomes of the former administration and see the takeoff point of this administration, you see synergy that will begin to bear fruits before long. So I think that for the PDP to hastily begin to roll out scorecards, I think that's not only premature but irresponsible, actually.
All right, and I want to speak on motivation. We know that motivation often makes things possible for progress and competition. And I say that because there are rumors that there's a supposed merger between 2 parties or a couple of parties, Atiku Abubakar, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and possibly Peter Obi. In the current political space, the APC seems to be running a bit uncontested or unchallenged, as the PDP has been rendered toothless and the other political parties are fledgling. What motivations does APC have in order to make themselves come out looking better, seeing as how these other parties might be forming, and they were quite popular in and of their own rights, might be forming a tetra-headed situation in order to address the APC and this government that on optics level seems to be falling the hands of Nigerians?
No, we're not concerned about the rumors of a possible merger between the Labour Party and the PDP. We're not concerned because these are parties that do not even understand who they are. They clearly lack focus, lack a sense of mission, and do not begin to even bear the prospects of effectively challenging the APC. Nigerians are pretty much accustomed to the PDP. So the PDP brings nothing to the table in any system of merger with Labour. And Labour Party itself, as you know, is just a fleeting political program that whose sunset has come. I do not think that the Labour Party has any future beyond this last election. So, but irrespective, I think that the combination of the Labour Party and the PDP do not begin to stir the water as far as we're concerned in APC. Our focus is to continue to do the very best we can for this country, to build the economy, reinvent the economy, create jobs, tackle some of the fundamental contradictions and illogic of the economy of the country. As we get that right, I am sure that whatever intent, whatever ideas that is floating around the PDP and Labour Party will simply dissipate and just disappear. We're not concerned. I think that we're going to stay focused on our program of reform to get a handle on the economy and hopefully give Nigerians the good life that they truly deserve.
Now, Mr. Morka, I'd like to follow up on my last question. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, about 133 million Nigerians out of about 100 or about 200 Nigerians have been pushed into multidimensional poverty. Inflation is at an all-time high. Nigerians are leaving the country in droves. Healthcare is nothing to write home about. Kidnapping, banditry, criminality, it's rife. I could go on and on about, what's happening in the country. So can we put politics aside, and address the real issues? How well has APC governed Nigeria? You talked about policies of President Muhammadu Buhari now manifesting. Can you give us an example of some of those policies that are manifesting? How humane, how effective are President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's policies and decisions?
Look, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, took power amidst a whole lot of complexities. Yes, Nigeria's economy is not where it ought to be, and that's not exclusive to Nigeria. It's true of so many other countries, on the face of the sun. I mean, many countries right now, even the so-called advanced, democracies and advanced, countries in the first world, are also grappling with similar concerns of heightened inflation, dealing with multifaceted economic challenges. That's not exclusive to Nigeria. When you reel out some of the information as you do, you make it sound like it's all hopeless. It's not. I beg to disagree. Yes, the challenges that we face that must be tackled, and this government has already started. Key of which is, taking out the fuel subsidy, which was gulping our money, gulping Nigeria's, resources. We earn money, it goes into subsidy. There's no other country, anywhere in West Africa or in Africa for that matter, or anywhere in the world where fuel was selling for as cheap as it was selling in Nigeria. It would be nice to hear you also suggest that for many years, for decades, we were buying fuel at next to nothing compared to what others were paying, during all of this time. We also need to acknowledge that, because it's not enough to just highlight the negatives. But for years in this country, we were subsidizing petrol, and we were able to buy it cheaper than most countries would buy petrol. That was a gift to Nigerians. But the fact of the matter is that system has become unsustainable. So I think that anyone who, I listened to some of the play before your show of, people saying, oh, maybe if this is not working, we should go back. Yes, it's easy to suggest that, but going back means you have to pay for it. And when all of the earnings, our source of foreign exchange is on this singular product, crude oil, there's an extent to which you can be innovative and ambitious in how you take on very serious fundamental economic, decisions. The NNPC and all of the other key actors in that sector have made it clear that we do not have the, revenue flow to sustain that program or that regime of subsidy. Fact of the matter is that there are benefits that will come. And I think that we need to just, even the media, look, quite frankly, we all have responsibility to tone down this rhetoric. Because when you ask the question as you do, and you make it sound like, it's all, boom, 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 negative. That is, it serves the purpose for which you mentioned that. But the fact of the matter is that there's nowhere in the world where, economic transformation and sustainability is a walk in the park. There's nowhere it is just like a light switch. You switch on and switch off. These things take serious, contemplation, planning, thoughtfulness, execution, and then you begin to see results ultimately, come through. I know an economist, which is why, look, if you hear all of this analysis, the economists in this country are not as, as irate as some of the other political people like the PDP and the actors, because they understand the purpose of these policies. So the transient negative impact will come, but after that will come the good that these policies seek to achieve. And I think that that's where we need to fix our gaze. And I urge Nigerians to remain good partners with this government so that we can correct some of these problems and flaws in our economic system, so that in time we can begin to reap the benefits sustainably that will come from not just the fuel subsidy for that matter, but also even the whole foreign exchange harmonization that's taking place as well. The benefits will come, but I think that for those who are very short-sighted, that may be too long for them to wait.
Well, we are waiting, and hopefully the dividends of democracy will show up in due time. Felix Morka, APC National Publicity Secretary, thank you for joining us for this conversation.